Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's the personal development podcast for the seven-figure entrepreneur who's looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Also joining me, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday.
Happy
Happy
Monday.
Monday.
It certainly is. I believe it's the last Monday of the first quarter of
Wow.
2024. People need to really listen to this podcast so they can make sure they make the most of their year. I'm telling you, they need to listen to this episode specifically. Because our guest today is just really making it happen. And he's going to talk about how we can double our profits and disrupt the industry. That's the theme of our episode. How to double your profits and disrupt your industry. He has disrupted an industry. He's going to tell us how he's done that and all the great stuff he's doing so that you can say, you know what, I know the first quarter is over, but I have three more quarters of 2024 to make it happen and be disruptive. But
You
this
know,
is
that's
not your everyday podcast. What were you
nah.
about to say, Ted?
Yeah, now someone was asking me earlier, they were like, man, I'm looking for a way to double my profits and to disrupt the industry. So this is just perfect timing. It's perfect
Perfect
timing.
timing.
Hmm.
There you go. That's right. We said, watch us tonight at 7 o'clock and you will find out. But yeah, this is not your everyday podcast. We do things a little differently here on the 30-minute hour. And we didn't even warn Kareem about that. We just let that slide by. But
I've done my research, don't worry.
He knows what he's dealing with. He knows what he's
knows
dealing
what he's
with.
getting himself into. All right. But yeah, but certainly, you can watch us live or go back and watch past episodes on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also listen on the podcasting platforms, the Apple Podcast, the Spotify's, and all those other places that you would like to, where you like to consume content. But again, we're going to get right to it. We're going to talk about how to double your profits and disrupt your industry. Our guest, he's the founder and owner of multiple ventures in Canada, United States. He's with a goal to always bring the most value to others. He's created these systems to automate and delegate efficiently, increasing revenue and profit without compromising customer satisfaction. All of this while traveling the world to live amongst a variety of cultures and impacting lives through religious and humanitarian projects. Please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour Kareem Kerachni.
Thank you, Eric. Good to see
Oh
you guys.
man, it is truly an honor to have you on the show. Welcome. So definitely, before we really get into this, want to give everybody some perspective, give them the backdrop. How did your journey as an entrepreneur begin?
Well, first, thank you for that introduction. I don't know if I deserve it. It's too much for me. But how my journey started as an entrepreneur, um, I feel like most entrepreneurs, it kind of started randomly, without a specific plan in mind. It took me a while before even calling myself an entrepreneur. So I started in my career in sales, um, in France first, then in Canada. I moved in Canada in 2014, and I lived there for the past 10 years, minus the past year and a half, because as you mentioned, I've been traveling. I'm actually in Malaysia right now. It's almost sunrise. So I spent a few years in Canada, and as I was growing in my career in sales, learning a lot and getting, meeting a lot of people, including entrepreneurs. People try to recruit me in various ventures or some, how do you call that, network marketing and those kind of things. Anyways, it kind of, put a little seed in my head about starting my own business. I had no idea how I did. I had no idea, what to do. But I was open to the opportunity. And so when the opportunity came, which is when I moved from Western Canada to Eastern Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia, on the East Coast, for those who are familiar, that's when I noticed a big demand in the cleaning industry. of all industries. I didn't have any particular passion or experience in cleaning, but there was a real need. I heard a lot of people, asking me if I knew any good cleaning company, whether it is for their business or for their personal properties. So, started thinking, hey, maybe there is something to do here. And initially I was thinking about it as a, something to try, kind of a side hustle to, to get my feet wet. But as I got into it, I got my business, growing, and I was learning not just how to clean, but especially how to manage a business, how to find my own clients and get them satisfied, how to start, hiring and training and managing, and so on and so forth. You learn a lot in a very short period of time as an entrepreneur. So that's really when I started getting excited about it and really started seeing it as a long-term plan, this business and maybe other ventures. And actually, after about 6 to 8 months with my own business, growing, I had another I was working for a business as an independent contractor, so it wasn't, right in between a job and a business. Anyways, I left that job to focus fully on this business, and it's been very fun, but also great learning experience with lots of ups and downs. Long story short, what I'm telling you here, that started in late 2018. Now we are in early 2014. I have two branches, two locations for this business, two cities. I have another venture in partnership with propertyguys.com, which is in the US, and I think that's what's gonna bring the most value to your audience. And I'm even embarking in a new project in about a month and a half. I'm gonna start this. This is brand new. You guys didn't know this is an exclu. It's the first time I mentioned it on a podcast. In a whole different industry, but just because the opportunity was there, I wanted to jump into it to learn and to bring a ton of value to the clients. So I'll tell you more about that in a minute.
Yeah, yeah, definitely more to come on that. So it sounds like you ramped up pretty quickly. I'm just curious if you could go back to 2018 and be a mentor of that beginner or starter version of yourself. What advice would you give?
So I have three things that come to mind. The first thing is something that I've done, but I would advise it to any new entrepreneur, because I see the value now, and I'm so glad and grateful that I actually learned that early on. It is to create very early on some systems and processes for your business. So don't just do things randomly and have the whole weight of your business on your shoulder. Try to take a step back and assess what you're doing, how you're doing it, what you're doing well, and record it. Literally, physically record it on your laptop, on paper. And by that, I mean, I want to talk very concretely. I'm talking every part of your business, from how you market, how you advertise, what platform you use, what type of posts or designs you make, etc., etc. So in great details, how you hire people, what are you looking for, what is your process when you hire, how you fire people, how you do the invoicing, how you do the account receivables, and obviously how you do your technical thing, whether it is cleaning, whether it is making certain products, etc., etc. And so what I mean by this is you're actually going to thank yourself in as you grow with the business, because not only that allows you to quickly delegate or automate certain aspects, but also that's what really the value of your business is. It is this operations manual, this set of systems and processes. So if eventually you want to sell the business, that's really what you're going to be selling: how you do things, why you're different from others, and how a new owner or a new manager can come on and take over really quickly because they know exactly what you do. So creating systems and processes, it is key to any business, and I could not insist on that enough. But something that I haven't done early on, it's more in the mindset, is really to have trust and confidence in your capabilities and capacity as an entrepreneur, and as trust and confidence in your vision. Meaning, don't do like me and see something as just a side hustle which you can stop at any time, but actually see it as your next 5 or 10 years. See the potential and trust the process that you're taking and the potential of your business. So I wish I actually went all in faster, and really grew a lot sooner. I think we would have saved 2 or 3 years if I had done things differently early on. If I had taken it maybe more seriously early on, we would have saved, maybe 2 years in the growth of the business, and we would be at 2 or 3 times higher in terms of revenue and profit than we are now. So that's another advice: trust yourself and don't be afraid of success. I think a lot of people think that they are afraid of failure. I think a lot of people actually are afraid of success, and what it can bring to them, what amount of work it might, extra work, and stress and so on, it can bring to the table. It can, but that's that's part of the journey. That's part of the fun of being an entrepreneur. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, so
Um,
I think you're spot on. So, I do these procrastination workshops, right, Kareem?
Mm-hmm.
And why, we try to get into why people are procrastinating, and fear comes up all the time. And we talk about fear of failure, we talk about fear of success. And I'm always surprised at how many people admit that fear of success is their thing. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't think it would be fear of success, but it's like, okay, I'm not, am I going to be able to measure up to the next level? Am I up to the work? Am I up to the challenge?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do
There
you
is a form of
recommend? Go ahead.
the imposter syndrome. You probably
Hmm.
heard of that as well. Once you start getting a certain level of success, and by the way, when we talk about success, that doesn't necessarily mean making millions, or success can be very different from one person to another. But whatever you define as success, for me, it is my freedom of being able to have an income while having freedom of space and time. So once I reached that level, you some people might have what's called the imposter syndrome, which is to feel like you're not at your place, you're not supposed to be here, you shouldn't, you don't deserve what you're getting, you didn't work hard enough for it, or whatever it might be. And something to be actually to be conscious about, and realize that whatever work you've put on, if you reach those results, you deserve it to a certain extent. There's also a part of luck, and you have to accept that. But you've put the work, and you have to be comfortable with where you are at any given time.
See, I don't think that people are really connected to their giftedness like they should be. Like sometimes, you think of a skill as somebody that can, speak in front of 10,000 people without notes and all of that. But a great skill could be being able to listen and being able to empathize. And I don't think people realize that that's driving their success. And they feel like an imposter when they get to a certain level. No, I think these are all things that are so critical as someone's attempting to level up. Even I like how you talk about being, confident in your vision. And here's something I think, and certainly Ted, Kareem, you can jump in as well. I think we should consider doing away with the term side hustle, right? Because if you call it a side hustle in your mind, it's going to be something you just, oh yeah, I'm just going to do it on the side. And
well, you,
how much traction do you get if you just think this is something I'm doing on the side?
yeah. I don't know. Just jumping in on this a bit. I mean, side hustle sounds like it's optional,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's the thing
Mm-hmm.
that we got to try to get away from it being optional. But it's really difficult. I think it's easier to say than do. If you have a full time job and then you got this other thing, like how do you get yourself to a place that you hold that other thing um, in the same regard, if not higher than your main job, right? Your main job, you're going to go to work on time. You should, right? You're going to do you're going to do what you need to do in order to keep your job, to have high performance, evaluation, all that stuff. Because if you don't, you're unemployed, right? And then you can't, take care of your basics, right? Your home, your food, family, all that kind of stuff, right? This optional thing that you're setting up, you got to somehow find a way to think of it like it's going to be the primary thing, and you got to be able to treat it that way. So how much time do you put into it to get there? You're not going to get that to where it needs to be by putting an hour or two into it a week, right? Your full-time gig, right? Your full-time job is 40 hours or more, right? Like you're on the block for at least 40 hours. Now, whether you work the whole 40 hours or not, that's a whole different story. But you're on the hook, it's supposedly for 40 hours. So this other thing that you want to have replace this, you can't just give 2 or 3 hours to it, and you can't give 40 hours to it, because if you give 40 hours of that and 40 hours to your primary, you got to sleep. You can't be doing an 80-hour work week, right? But you have to do something that's at least you can feel it, and whether that's 10 hours a week on this, like something that you can actually show that you've invested in. Because before you know it, 10 hours, you're not going to want to put it down. So next thing it's going to be 10 hours, it'll be 15 hours. Next thing you know, you're trying to squeeze some of those hours out of your main gig, and that's when it really gets kind of tricky then, right? But at a certain point, you got that thing moving to a point where it's like, man, I see, things coming in there to a point that I can leave this primary and turn this into my primary.
Yeah, you need to have I agree with what you're saying, Ted. You need to have a plan. You don't just go into something, seeing how it's going to turn out. If you actually want it to be your next career, especially if it's linked to a passion, it's not something that you're forcing yourself to do. You need to give yourself a timeline. I am going to put, I would disagree on you with you on the you cannot put 80 hours a week. I think you can put 80 hours a week for a certain amount of time, not forever, obviously. But if you're telling yourself, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm going to hustle. I have my main gig, and I have my my new business instead of side hustle. I'm going to give it 30 or 40 hours a week. Great, but then that at the end of those 3 months, you're going to quit your main job, or figure something out. My point being, yeah, I would agree with you, Eric, on that as well. A side hustle. This is for those who maybe just want to make a few extra bucks or a few $100s extra per month. They don't see any vision, and this is fine. For some people who like to sell candles or whatever on Amazon, great. But if you actually want something, an income replacement, an income replacer, you need to give it full attention and effort for a certain amount of time, for sure.
Absolutely. So your main venture is propertyguys.com. It's right there behind you. It's been disrupting the real estate industry for over 25 years. Tell us more about that. How
Sure.
exactly does propertyguys.com work?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously they've been doing that for 25 years. So this is not my business, just so we're clear. I'm only 33.
That's what I was about to say. How the way
Yeah.
you've been doing something for 25 years?
So no, I'm bringing this model to the US, to Eastern, the Northeast, New England specifically. So what PropertyGuys.com has been doing now for 25 years, very successfully in Canada, mostly. It's basically an alternative solution and a different way of doing real estate, because as you guys may know, for a seller specifically, a lot of people here have had experience in real estate trying to sell their home. They had a home for maybe 10 years. They have X amount of equity. They want to sell it. What's their option? Their main option, and pretty much their only option, is to get a real estate agent, to pay a commission, and also to get a lawyer and a photographer and a stager and appraiser and so on and so forth. So all those services, and they end up spending anywhere between 30, 40, 50, 60 grand or more, which is often most of the equity that they had on this on this home goes down the drain when they're looking to sell it. It's quite unfair. It doesn't really make sense when you think about it, but that's how it's been for over 100 years. And so that's where Property Guys comes in with a very unique, innovative solution, which is to offer all the services that a seller would need, in a package that is a one-time flat fee. And that one-time flat fee is typically in the 5 or 6 or 7 grand range, depending on the market and depending what's in this package. So for instance, someone who wants to sell on their own, for sale by owner, feasible, in other words, they still need some expertise and some help, a little boost, whether to have the exposure, to have their listing on the MLS and various platforms. Maybe they need, professional photography, whatever it might be. They can choose a package that is, $1,000, $1,500, and they get the help that they need to sell their property efficiently. Or the traditional home seller who wants to be hands off, he doesn't want to do anything, he wants to have everything included, literally everything from start to finish. Well, he gets that, but instead of paying based on the value of their property, commission of 5-6% on the value of the property, they actually pay for the service they get. So that's where the package is 6 or 7 grand for all the services that are listed earlier and more. 3D modeling of your property, drone shots, professional showings, and so on and so forth can be all included for this one-time flat fee. Even if you have a $2 million property, it doesn't matter. So same for everyone. So that's what Property Guys, I gave a lot of details here, but that's what Property Guys has been doing now for 25 plus years. They also have offerings for buyers and for landlords and tenants. So they really expanded to be a one-stop shop for everything real estate, but differently and with more value to the client. So now where I come in, so I'm not a franchisee, I'm not a real estate agent or anything. I'm in charge of the franchise development for Massachusetts specifically and for New England at large. So my job is to find those, those gems, those potential franchisee that will come and run their own territory. They will get an exclusive territory in the state where they are the only one, so no competition, and they promote and operate the Property Guys brand to bring value to hundreds of people each year. Because franchisees work on volume. They work with, on average, about 100 listings a year and a similar number of buyers. So it's pretty large amount of clients, a ton of value to each individual ones. So that's personally what drives me in this venture is the amount of value that you bring in each territory where we operate. That makes sense? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense, and I see that is certainly disruptive to the industry there. And I am just curious, like, what advice do you have for the entrepreneurs who are looking to disrupt their industry? Because it's easy just to kind of, go to market like everybody's always done and try to follow the same model. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so based on my experience with Property Guys, and also my experience with actually another business that with whom I used to work for or work with, and I'm going back with them in a few months. It's called Vivint. It's a smart home systems and solar systems. Solar energy. Both of them are disruptors in their respective industries, and so something that I noticed. So for someone who wants to disrupt an industry, first thing is to take a step back and do a deep dive into how the industry works. What is the normal way of doing X? In this case, real estate or smart home, and see where the holes are. What are the pain points that clients have? It can go through doing some survey, or maybe you're talking with professionals in the industry, whatever it might be, and then finding an innovative solution and a unique solution to those specific pain points. But that's the part I think that is the hardest. It is to find what is the way that would benefit the most the market, and something that ideally hasn't been done before, or something that has been done or is being done, but how can I make it much better? So that's how I would define, disrupting an industry on the long run, is to really alter the way people do things. So in the case of Property Guys, obviously the pain points, what has been the pain point forever, especially not forever, actually, that's not true, especially as the value of homes having increased over the past, 50 years, 30 years, and has increased exponentially. Those commissions have stayed the same, commission to real estate agents in particular, and as well all the other fees that you have to pay. So it made sense 100 years ago to have to pay 5% commission, because they didn't have the internet. The agent had to pay for advertising in magazines and newspaper and so on and so forth. And the value of a property was below 100K. So 5% was basically $5 grand. Nowadays, in Massachusetts, the average house price is around 500,000. That's the average, and you're still paying 5%, even though it's the cost of advertising and marketing is is much less now. You do some ads on, you have the MLS, and you do some ads on Facebook and social media and so on and so forth. So you see, that's where the pain point is and has been for the past couple of decades. People have complained a ton about how much money they have to spend to sell their own property, and they waste their entire equity and so on and so forth. And they also lose control in the process. I don't know, again, if you guys have been involved in the real estate industry, if you have purchased and sold properties, but you kind of lose control to your real estate agent. You give up control to your real estate agent in the process. So those are the pain points. And Ken LeBlanc and the two other co-founders of Property Guys, who are still the head of the company to this day, they basically bought an opportunity or solution that was different, which is, hey, we're going to help you sell on your own. Here is what you need, and all of that you just pay us a one-time flat fee. It's not going to break the bank, and you get the same result at the end of the day. That was the idea. That I don't know if no one had that idea before, but at least they implemented it, and they implemented it well. 25 years later, now we have over 100 franchise, across Canada. We have a dozen in the US. Hundreds of thousands of people help, every year. I mean, this is quite disruptive, in my opinion.
No, and I think these are great insights. Really focusing on the pain points. What are the customer friction points? And even if you look at like a Uber, I mean, that's how Uber disrupted that whole industry, right? Because
Exactly.
it was like, okay, this cab experience is terrible. It's I can't control the fee. I can never get a cab. This is so inconvenient. Even with Netflix, same thing. I'm getting these late fees at these other places, and yeah. So I think that is a key thing, and I think we need to be looking to be disruptors by focusing on what's the pain point, and then just kind of building the model around that. And I know
Yeah.
you mentioned about like the systems that you've created. Talk to us about one of your systems that you've created to help increase revenues.
Sure. Actually, I wanted to add something, and actually, it's linked with that question at the same time, because I was just thinking, what have I done? Because again, Property Guys is not my business; that's
Hmm.
their success.
Right.
What have I done with my business that I started from scratch, which is the cleaning company? And so, two things that I mean, actually, one thing specifically that I noticed, and we're still to this day the only one in the province of Nova Scotia, which is the equivalent of the state, doing that. Very simple. Every cleaning company, you have to give them a call or send them an email, and you go through a process of getting a quote and so on and so forth, which is that has some friction. You have to talk to someone, wait for the response, and so on and so forth. And so one thing very simple that I've done is to put a booking platform on my website.
Hmm.
And I think to this day in Eastern Canada, we're the only one, or one of the only one, having that, where people don't want, if people don't want to talk to anyone, they just go there. They enter all the information, the details about their property. They check our availabilities. They get basically an estimate on the spot, and they can book and pay on the spot. I know it sounds pretty simple, but in the service industry, it's actually not that common to be able to book a landscaper, for instance, or a contractor or whatnot, to book online without having to talk to anyone. You can do it on your cell phone from anywhere. And so obviously I didn't disrupt the industry. Again, I don't want to pretend, but I've noticed this issue, which not only helped our business, and we've seen a huge increase in sales when we implemented that. It cost some money to get that set up, but yeah, actually we had an ROI within probably 2 months. But on top of this, so not only we brought more value to the client, but on top of this, actually we increased drastically the sales, and lowered the cost as well, because I didn't need to have someone holding the phone at any given time of the day. We do have someone, but they weren't as busy answering the phone and answering emails. So my point being, just to conclude on that, I think in any industry, in your business, if we're talking to people who already have a business, if you look at it, or maybe you have to talk to someone to look at it from very objectively, very candidly, and very humbly on your business, how your business operates, and for yourself, for someone to tell you, hey, this part sucks. How can you make it better? Or review your business and compare it to the competition, to see what they're doing better and how can you do it even better than them. That would be my advice.
Yeah, that's great. It's funny. I picked up an idea. I was at a conference, and the guy was saying that you should do a SWOT analysis on your competition. Like pick your top three competitors and like doing an analysis. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are their opportunities? What are their and that kind of gives you a different level of perspective. And I think that positions you to be more innovative. But I definitely think what you've done is good because that's a big friction point when you call a business and you just want to talk to somebody. You just want to talk to somebody, get your problem solved, and it's press one for this, press two for that, press three for that. But if I could just go and have something I can just push a few buttons to get to the goal, I mean that's huge. That's what people want, and that's I think what makes Amazon
Well,
and those places
well,
appeal, Ted.
the thing in that is really it's all about, and you hear people talk a lot about the customer experience.
Yep.
All right. So in order to to create strategies to improve the customer experience, you got to truly talk to customers and you got to put yourself in the shoes of that customer. So when you're calling, like, yeah, we want to get to a live voice, right? Now you company, you're trying to save money. You're trying to, use some repeatable, processes and information that's out there. So you're trying to automate this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to talk to someone, right? And now you give me no way to get to just talk to someone. I'm gonna be frustrated, right? Because you would be frustrated because I really don't want to go through all this. I don't touch one, touch two. Oh, I missed it. Okay, I got to go back and figure out which one it is, and then please explain your problem and all that kind of stuff. What you're dealing with or what you. No, I want to explain it to a loud voice. That's what I want to do. So so when you're trying to do these things and improve a customer experience, I mean, you need to really truly think about it and probably have, try to do it yourself to see how you feel going through that process.
Yeah, and then to that, to extend on this, to also think about it not as you, but as the whole range of potential clients. Your one thing that you need to know as a business owner, very early on, is who is your target audience, and so putting yourself in the shoes of your target audience, and also maybe an extended version of this. I mean, again, talking about my cleaning company, I have to think, okay, what would be convenient for people between 20 and 30, which obviously will be to book online. But anyone above, I don't know, 50, 55, or I mean, there are some people, as you mentioned, prefer to talk to someone directly or prefer to send an email. So you have to be able to offer, the whole range. But if you can push the one that is best for your target audience and also that is best for your business, in our case, for people to book online. We don't, bookings just pop in the calendar and the cleaners automatically go do it. And it's, we made it frictionless like this. That's the ideal solution. Then, it's up to you to adapt that to your business, basically.
Great, great. So again, you've had a lot of success, and you can kind of you have the lifestyle, you can travel, but our audience is curious. They want to know about a low point. Tell us about a specific low point you had on your journey and what you learned from it.
I'd like to show you. Mentioned travel. I was distracted by this fireball over there. I don't know if you guys can see that. The sunrise is beautiful around here, so I wanted to share that with you guys.
I was about to say when he showed that, I said that can't be the low point. That's a high point. It looks amazing.
Yeah, we because you were mentioning travel, so I thought that was the right time. It's going to the clouds right now, so that was now or never. um, but Sorry, what was your question again? I got distracted.
Yeah, tell us about a low point that you've experienced
Oh,
on your
yeah.
journey.
Hmm. So, okay, I'm gonna talk about one that is recent because, yeah, I mean, I don't, okay, that's just me. I don't really consider, okay, when I've done sales, at some point I've done some door-to-door sales, and something that is very important that they taught me that I learned, in on the job, and is to try to keep your um, excitement and energy and consistent. Don't get too high when you have some success. Don't get too low when you have some failure, because it's part of the process. And you can get tired or burned out if you go like this up and down. So I always try to be very consistent. We might get a new big contract, a new big client in one of my businesses. Great, that's awesome. We might lose a couple of clients. Well, that sucks. What can we do to improve? But at the end of the day, I'm never down on myself, because and I'm also a religious person, so I know that it's part of my journey, my destiny. Everything happened for a reason, so I don't get personally too affected by things. But still want to answer your question. So something very recent. My cleaning business, I was actually in process. I wanted to sell it last year. I thought it was in a good position to sell it, in order to focus and reinvest in my other ventures and so on. It was my first time, trying to sell a business, and that wasn't the best experience. I actually haven't sold it to this day, because not only I realized that my admin and bookkeeping and so on was not on up to the right standard. Admin and accounting is really not my strong suit, and so I had to hire a bookkeeper to get things cleaned up and so on and so forth. And by the way, I realized that's something I should have done from day one. Another advice I would give myself in my early days as an entrepreneur is to have your admin, your agreements, your bookkeeping, everything clear, super, done professionally if it's not your expertise, because it's going to serve for the rest of your business journey. So anyways, that's one thing. And on top of that, the value of the business was not what I expected. Again, it was my first time. There was a lot of emotional component. It's my baby that I started from scratch, so I thought the value of the business was way higher than it seems to be in the eyes of an investor. So long story short, I lost a lot of time and energy with potential buyers, to then realize, now I actually took a step back and decided, hey, I'm actually going to grow the business even better and bigger this year, 2024, and then look at selling it next year. But that has been, quite a painful experience in terms of the time and energy invested for basically no return. But again, I really don't see it as a low, because I learned a lot in the process. Now that's something I'm able to talk about, and I'm actually going to be able to do better, moving forward. So you see what I mean? I don't think there is ever any real lows, because every low point has some benefits in it, one way or another, in my opinion.
Yeah, what's the Napoleon Hill says every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that was a great answer, and especially the lesson learned of hiring an admin and a bookkeeper, because I think we think you start on this journey because you feel like you can do things and you want to do everything, but then you realize there's certain things you shouldn't be doing. So
Yeah, and I mean, take the time to have things. I had a business partner, and so and we had kind of a shaky agreement, like just in writing, but not legally binding. And so that created, not thinking that it would ever come up. We thought we would always be on the same page. And so a few years later, we wish we actually had a proper so those kind of things. That's what I mean. I In the early days, yeah, you're excited and motivated and you want to move forward, you want to grow and so on, and that's great. But it's also important to to do this legwork, whether it is in terms of the legal aspects or the bookkeeping, the accounting, and so on and so forth. It's going to serve you in the future.
So, Kareem, you actually said that you had challenges with a business partner.
Hmm.
Shocking. I find that so
That
Surprising.
never
challenging.
happens.
No, I'm being totally facetious. I totally understand what it is. And in starting my company, I mean, I started with a business partner, and like you said, you're both really excited about this, and everybody sees success, right? But but how you both see it may be totally different, and you don't really see that until you start going through that journey together. And so it's interesting, people will say, oh, do you still have a partner? Like, because yeah, I think it if I were to see the percentages of it, I'm sure there's probably great percentages where the partnerships have challenges along the way, and that there's a separation at some point. Now there's those that make it, which is great, but many have challenges, because you just really, when you just get together, I mean, you have, you don't really know, right? Like how you're going to deal with certain situations till you start dealing with it,
Yeah,
as partners.
that's right.
So
And I think something that can be done early on, and again, I feel like I'm going to put my Captain Obvious hat on right now, but communication is key in any relationship, obviously. But to set some rules early on how we're going to communicate, when we're going to communicate, and so on, something that is set in stone, um, I think is extremely important. Not just the legal aspect, but also how are we going to deal with this business, and putting ourselves in the shoes of our future selves, successful one, once the business has reached that level, are we going to be the same person, have the same task, and so on and so forth. And the second thing is to actually try to put yourself in the shoes of your partner, because obviously you don't do, you don't have a business partner to do all the same things. So each have a very different experience. In our case, he's on the ground in the other location, so I wasn't there physically, but I was bringing, the knowledge and the help and the admin help and so on and so forth. So we had very different experience on the business, and so it's very important to have empathy. Again, like in any relationship,
man,
but in this
you
one,
really
you
hit
can
something
quickly,
there.
yeah,
You really hit something there. Like, to think about how it is in the other partner's shoes, and then to have empathy for that role. And you're right, like that person that's out on the street and constantly going to get the business, and you're like, man, I'm out on the street, I'm constantly getting the business, and the other person's behind the scenes maybe dealing with a bunch of paperwork stuff, right? Like, you don't want to be back there doing that, and that person doesn't want to be doing what you're doing, but you both should have an understanding
yeah,
of what goes into it, and then an understanding and appreciation, of what goes into that other person's roles. I think that's a great point right there, thinking about it from the other person's the other partner's
shoes.
perspective.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff.
Mm.
So we're coming down the home stretch. We're at the final segment. It's called Write
Yeah.
This Down. This
Hmm.
is where we each go around. Again, Kareem, it's Ted's favorite part of the show, called Write This
It's really
Down.
not. It's really not.
We each
So,
go around and leave at least one takeaway that we want our people to write down so they can level up. Just something to remember from this episode. So, Kareem, you're the guest of honor, so we'll start with you. What do the people need to write down?
So I have two things coming to mind. I hope you don't mind.
no,
But
no. You matter of fact, Kareem, I like this so much. You can have mine. So it gives you two.
okay.
So I don't want to say anything. So fire
Great,
away.
thank you. I appreciate it. So the first advice I would give is to, so say you want to start a business, you have an idea in mind, and people who are in similar industries. Don't be shy to talk to competition, or potential competition. Anyways, there is enough to eat for everyone. But so to talk to those other people that have done what you want to do and that have been successful, and to ask them very candidly, what does it take to succeed in this industry? What is the work I'm going to have to put? and then reflect on, am I actually willing to put the work, to put the time, or is it just, I'm just excited about the potential financial reward or whatever, reward you can get out of this business, but kind of putting aside the actual work that it's going to take, the toll it's going to take on your life, on your family, and so on and so forth. And I'm not saying that to discourage anyone. I'm saying that for people who want to get into entrepreneurship, to be real and to actually think about it very realistically. And so often, and that's my second point is in link with that. Often one part of the job that pretty much every business owner have to do, at least for a certain amount of time, is sales, because don't have a business if you don't have money coming in, if you don't have any clients, and the sales part is often something that business owners really fear, and they try to do anything possible to not actually have to sell. I'm talking specifically direct sales. It's easy to do ads online, but then how do you actually get clients directly? And it's your business. You should be able to talk about your business with passion, with energy, and to bring some clients in directly. And often the bigger clients, the more you're actually going to have to interact with them. And so I would summarize. So I would advise to learn sales one way or another, whatever age you're at. Learn it with a coach, in a job in sales, whatever it might be. But I would summarize it for people who already have a business and might have some difficulty in sales in, I would say, 5 points. First, to connect with the person and to actually build a relationship and trust. Secondly, to discover their problem. What is their pain point? And to ask questions. Sales doesn't go through talking, go through listening, as you were mentioning, Eric, earlier. To ask the right question in the right order and listening to the answers. Then thirdly, it would be solution. How do you bring a solution that is specific to their need? They might not even realize the need that they have, but you, as the professional, you have a solution for their need. And then fourth, it would be the close. And you can have the best presentation, the best solution, but if you don't actually ask for the order, are we going to do this? When would you like your service to be done? How many bottles you want? Whatever. If you don't ask for the order, half of the time you're not going to get it, because you cannot just be waiting for your client to ask you for what they need. That's your job as the salesperson or the business owner. And fifth, to comfort them. Once you brought the solution, you asked for the close, you gave the price, then to comfort them with the service, and basically deliver what you promised, and make sure you provide a perfect customer service and after sale experience. So that would be my experience. That's how I would summarize basically what sales is, and that's something that any business owner need to learn.
This is great. You connect, discover, solutions, close, and convert. Write that down. Yeah, but there's a saying out there: life is a series of sales situations, and I'm still amazed at people who run away from the word sales and don't believe that they're really selling, and that that's I'm not a salesman. I think if you're trying to influence anybody to do anything, you're in sales, and you need
100%.
to develop a level of proficiency in it. So
yeah, you hit something there. You can't. Every business owner, every entrepreneur is a salesperson.
Yep.
Right. You may not be the person to sell as far as sell the product. You might have a salesperson or business development team for that, but you're always trying to, sell, right? Whether you're talking to banks, whether you're talking to strategic partners or whatever, you're always going to have to be able to, basically present, your company, and to get others to want to engage with you, right? At a very highest level. So if you think you're going to be able to hire this director of sales or whatever, and you're not going to have to do sales, you are, because it's talking about your company in order to, to influence others to, want to do business with you or partner or engage or whatever. So no, that's great. The for me, that whole discussion about the side hustle, I think really resonated the most with me, right? Because there's so many people that are starting something, and you got to really think about, like you said, Kareem, is this something that you just want to make some extra dollars? Is this something that's just a hobby that even if you didn't even make any money, like you said, I just like making candles, and if I make 12 cents a month, I'm cool with that? Or is this something that you want to be your primary gig? And then for it to be your primary, you're going to have to get a mindset as if it's your primary. So you said something, Kareem, that was really interesting, where I said, you can't do another 40 hours over the weekend, right? That's my thought. Now, Kareem, who's my competition, says, shoot, for the next 3 months, I'm doing another 40 hours over the weekend, right? Now think about that, right? And he's thinking, hey, I'm trying to convert this from a secondary thing to my primary, and I'm giving myself 90 days to do it. So I'm going to go hard at it in the next 90 days. Like, that's just like that person that says, and I'm not recommending anyone to do this, but that person says, yep, I'm going to just quit my job and I'm just going to do this. I'm going to be all in. Right. But all of those are, real, it was I think someone said to me one time, a pastor said, what's the difference between who, I guess, who invests the most in the breakfast experience, like the chicken, I think it's the chicken or the pig, right? The chicken, oh man, yeah, chicken lays some eggs. Pig lays its life down for the breakfast experience, right? So it's kind of like that. Okay, for what you're saying, Green, you're like, man, for you to be able to do, another 40 hours over the weekend, that means you're willing to give up sacrifice a whole lot of stuff over the next couple of months in order to get to where you need to be. Where I'm saying, well, you guys got to hurt, right? You got to feel it a bit to get to, that other side and to be able to get the things that you want. Because if not, you may never realize the potential of whatever this is that you're, this baby that you
Exactly.
birth. So.
That's right. Don't call it a side hustle. You get out what you put in, and it's gonna require commitment. I kind of on this. My write this down is actually on a similar note, and I heard it put this way that like you have to make your venture or your purpose your plan A and your job your plan B.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how you have to focus on it. Like this
Exactly.
thing I'm trying to build is plan A. The job is plan B. Where most people are going into it like, okay, this side hustle is plan B. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but that's you'll get plan B results if you give it a plan B focus. So yeah, I think write that down.
But
I
I
think
just want to touch on that a little bit, because I think and I've had some conversations with people about this recently. I think it's really challenging to simulate like urgency.
yeah.
It's really, I mean, that's a whole nother show in itself of how can you simulate urgency? Because urgency is, again, I got to pay my bills and I need this job to pay my bills. Um, yeah, this new business, yeah, you want this to happen, but in order for it to really get to that real urgent point is really when your bills depend on it, right? When you leave your full time, it's like, I'm out here now, right? This has to work. My plan B is refer back to plan A, right? Like that's a
Burn your
totally
ship.
different. Oh, I'm sorry, Kareem.
Burn your ship. Have you
Yeah,
guys heard of that?
yeah.
Yeah,
no.
burn the bridge. Yeah, it's the story of, I don't know if it's true or not, but Cortez, I don't know, a general who went to I don't know, a beach where they had to battle and they were much less than the enemy. And so what he did was to burn the ships, burn so there is no going back. It's do or die, basically, in another way. And I think
Whew.
that's one way to create, urgency, to simulate. Um, yeah, if you have no other solution, you have nothing to go back to, you're going to, succeed a lot more and a lot faster than if you had a plan B.
Yeah.
To your
Wow.
point, Ted. Yeah.
It's funny you say that. Remember, we had a guest on from England, and she built like this multi-million-dollar business from her kitchen table. And then Ted and I were like, "How did you do that? What? How did you? Why were you able to do it?" And she was like, "Look, I had no choice. My husband left me with this infant. He was the breadwinner. I didn't have any money. I just had to figure it out. I didn't have an option. So it's
Yeah.
like I guess they call it
Exactly.
a zero options mentality, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. I could talk about this stuff all day. I just think it's really it's critical to really moving forward to getting to where you want to go. But Kareem, why don't you share with the people the best way that they can connect with you?
Yeah, sure. So, actually, the easiest way to connect with me is on LinkedIn. If you type my name, I'm the only one with this name. You'll find me very, very easily. Um, but it would depend also who wants to connect for what. I'm always open to conversation if people want some advice on entrepreneurship, business ownership, or whatnot. But specifically, the people I'm looking to connect with are people in Eastern US who might be interested in property guys as a franchise opportunity. And those people look like real estate professionals already. Real estate agents, mortgage brokers, real estate investors, those are the best fit for the franchise that we offer. So someone who might be, looking at starting a venture, they don't know what to do, they don't know how. A franchise model is usually a great opportunity because they don't have to start from scratch. And separately from this, I'm also, as I mentioned, going to be involved in the smart home and solar industry in Ohio. So pretty much, I'm looking to grow a network over there. So pretty much anyone in Ohio who listens to this, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to chat with you because there will be opportunities of collaboration, whatever industry you're in. So there you go.
Awesome,
Oh, and besides
fantastic.
that, sorry. Regarding property, I forgot to mention, propertyguys.com. This is for buying and selling real estate. Regarding the franchise opportunity, just type Property Guys Massachusetts or Property Guys and my name, and you'll find my website, which has a lot more details about the franchise opportunity. Sorry to interrupt, Eric.
All right. Definitely make sure we'll put the links in the show notes so people can connect with you, like you said.
Great.
And for those of you watching and listening, don't forget to share the show.
Share the show. Share the
That's
show.
right. Don't keep this
Share
great
the
information.
show.
There you go. Don't keep this great information to yourself. I mean, this has been a fantastic episode of the 30-minute hour podcast. Definitely want to thank Kareem Kerachni for everything that he has shared with us today and the wisdom that he's instilled. And that's our episode. That's our time for this week.
Thanks for
Until
having
next
me, you
time,
guys.
thank you very much once again. Until next time, have a great one.